Hey everybody, welcome back to the Brothers Geek Out podcast. We got a special edition of the Geek Out session with a very special guest, Professor Kaiki, one of my favorite Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coaches. Professor, how you doing, man? It's good to catch up with you.
Oh man, I'm fine. Better now talking to you, talking to
Uh,
your friends, your collaborators, right? The guys that help you to build the channel. So it's an honor for me to be here. We've been talking about that visit a long time, and now look like we are able to do it, huh? Right? So
Finally get to
today,
do it.
today, fourth, no, today third, right? July 3rd, 2021.
Yeah.
We finally visit the Geek.
Well, Professor, you've always supported the channel. I really appreciate it, and we've always geeked out about our comic book stuff. But most importantly, we geeked out about martial arts. First, you were one of my favorite Brazilian jiu-jitsu coaches, and I tell you why, Professor, is because of your enthusiasm behind it. When speaking to the other students, I mean, we met in Hong Kong a couple of years
Lost
ago.
connection temporarily. I don't know if you can listen me.
I can still hear you.
If you can listen me, make.
Yep, I can still hear you. Can you hear me still? Oh, just having some technical difficulties. Hello, I think we lost him. Oh, are you back? You're back.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm back.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
back. Yeah.
I was just saying that one of the things I remember when we used to talk among students is and about you was your enthusiasm with the teaching and the philosophy of martial arts and everything. You got started, correct me if I'm wrong, you got started in judo first, right? That was your first martial art that you ever started?
Yes, judo was my first martial art I ever started. I was a kid, very aggressive kid. When things doesn't help me in the, like, kind of selfish, like the kid don't understand so much. It's pure instinct, right? So if the things don't go good, then I don't have diplomacy. Go straight for the war. and had no this kind of example at home. My home, very peaceful home. My mom, my grandma, very religious. So it was just like a way to. It was a fire, right? That if I feel that there was some injustice against me in the beginning when I was really kid, and then in the future I got understanding that it was whenever I see injustice, I was creating a fight, right? But anyway, my mom decided to put me in the judo because of the discipline and the ability to release the tiger, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the proper field. So I was training. I was very happy training judo, and in that direction, I end up very connected with sports, right? So I start to swim a lot. So I split judo and swimming to a point that I stopped to do judo, and I was only swimming, only kids competition, right? But then you go growing like 9 years, 10 years old. And when it was around 12 years old, I decided to martial arts, the calling again,
He came back.
right? So wait a minute, because the TV here is uh, uh, in the minority report. I'm gonna shut down the volume here.
Okay, sure, no problem.
Okay, I'm back. So
you got to martial arts called you
when
back. Was that when you got into jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, or how was that transition?
no, no,
Okay.
no, no, no. No, at this point, I had the calling, and then I went to Taekwondo.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right. So I was in Taekwondo and very fascinated with the noise of the punches in the gi, right? To make the noise, to make the katas. I was really in love by katas and fight demonstrations. I love it to do this, and I was connected with Taekwondo for a time, but then the master that usually teach in the school that I was had to. I was too kid. I don't understand exactly what happened, but he had to leave, and it's always a disconnection when it happens about martial arts. There's something very special, you know, the bond that you create with the soul that is sharing with you the knowledge about martial art. When he go, I go a little bit down, and at this point I was around 15 years old. So 3 years, let's say 3 years, roughly 3 years in Taekwondo. And then I say, okay, I will come back to swim. But I don't want to only swim. I want to swim and I want to fight.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do water polo.
Okay.
That it was more rough, right? To be and I used to feel myself very confident and very athletic and able to do things. But when I got to that group in the polo aquatic, in the water polo, I really understand that I was levels below as an athlete. And then I start to have a little bit of that connection with the performance and the search for the perfection. Then I was in another frequency that I can recognize now better, because back in the days I was just flowing, right? Go with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, because of the nature of the water polo, we were a group, first very solid brotherhood, because if you are fighting or if you are playing games that are very rough with your friends, you end up becoming very strong bond. And then I was in one of my friends, he says, man, you need to try jiu-jitsu, man. Jiu-jitsu, man, is for you. This friend, he was a student under Royler Gracie at Gracie Academy, the famous sport, the traditional one. He was a student under this school. And he was always talking about Rickson, Royler, the brothers, the Gracie family. And I had already all the passion for martial arts on me. And I really, at this point, I knew that martial arts, you can bring all the time that I'm always in to do. I want to do. I want to try. I want to learn new things. And then, okay, I gave myself a chance after try. I remember it was not so easy, but then I found a friend that knew a friend that knows jiu-jitsu, and he bring me to the academy. Back in the days, the master on this dojo that I made in my first jiu-jitsu class, he was a black belt under Hélio Gracie.
Wow. Going all the way back to through the lineage.
Hélio Gracie gave, I think, if I make no mistakes, 19 black belts only.
Wow.
19. We have professors now, and I don't compare, because now the jiu-jitsu got another dimension. But we have professors that make 200 black belts. One professor in Dubai, he makes 200 every year.
Wow.
You know, like
the
but
comparison.
at this point, this master in that dojo, Grandmaster Francisco Mansur, I went to his dojo. His nephew, Álvaro Mansur, is today not today, but he used to be the referee chief in International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation. My first class was with this guy, Álvaro Mansur. And Jiu-Jitsu, someone asked me if I believe in love at first sight, I have to say yes, because but it's not for a woman, for jiu-jitsu.
Wow.
I recognize right away the beauty, the first what attracted my attention was the mechanic, the so different than the judo throws, right? Even though you have some controls in the ground about side control, kezagatamis, positions that can help you to have some mobility in the ground, in the newaza aspect of the judo. But the newaza, especially for kids, are very limited if you compare with jiu-jitsu. Right? The newaza comes from jiu-jitsu. So when I started to learn, I remember that I learned the whole self-defense program in 4 days.
Oh, wow.
So hungry in my first 4 days in jiu-jitsu. I could make all the positions with explosion, precision, timing, distance, everything. I remember that has this commentary between the guys, right? In the past, when you are young, right? When you are young, you can do better. And then, okay, I was 15 years old, and then I was trapped in a tripod that was surf, jiu-jitsu, and Atari. I only think about this, Gilman, for a long time, could not manage the addiction for the 3 things. Addiction
Atari,
for the surf.
Do you mean the video game Atari, yeah? Are you talking about that?
Atari,
oh, wow,
yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Nice.
Pitfall, Pac-Man,
Yeah.
River Raid, Space Invaders,
Yeah.
all the Decathlon, Enduro, all the tapes. I had everything.
Awesome.
Imagine,
those were your 3
I had
things.
already, when I was at 12, when I was starting Taekwondo, I was at the same time starting my journey with the comic books.
What was your first
right?
comic book experience? Like, who was your first
X-Men.
character? X-Men, okay.
X-Men.
Nice.
X-Men was the most, Wolverine was the most impact. But my first relation with Heroes universe was not at this point, was in early 80s with the movie Superman that had Christopher Reeve as the main role. Amazing. He plays, in my opinion, right, a classic Superman that it's like we didn't find yet. Unfortunately, we didn't find nobody that can play the aspect, the alien aspect of moral, a moral in a level of another civilization, right? How the human being will progress into that, right? Because I think that the Marvel universe, the Heroes universe, the space, they touch in a very important philosophical question that all of us will have: from where we came, right, and where are we going? Because I think people deep inside the heart, and it's marked. That's what I believe. It's marked in the soul of people that we live many lives. We come and then we return. When you die here in that dimension, you are born in another dimension, and then you have the mission. The mission about the progress of your spirit never stops. It's an unstoppable work And your spirit is the foundation element of the universe. It cannot be. It's like a, if we think that a water molecule, it's very strong. It's nothing close to the durability of a spirit. You know, so we go and we come back many times, right? So as we progress, the idea of the human being, it's achieved. You can see from the movies and everything that we do, is to achieve a level of civilization. Even though we have all the problems, we know that those who are searching for something better are searching for that. Even though I know that's not going to be in that life, but I'm keep working because it's going to be in the next one, in the next. Every time that I come back, I wanna have a better planet with more food, with more water, the planet more healthy, right? So when you see a movie like that, like Superman, when I was a kid, it touched a lot in the instinct, in that human instinct. So I was really connected, hooked up, but not understanding the idea of the comic books yet. I had the movie. I was, if I make no mistake, I was 5 years old. I remember clearly. I getting out from the cinema in Rio de Janeiro. I remember even the cinema. The rooms, usually big rooms, very big rooms. And then I getting out, like jumping and try to run against the train, you know, like to
just
jump
like the movie.
higher and imagining, right? So with all of these ideas of martial arts in my head already, it was a big mix. So yeah, going and returning that timeline. I'm gonna come back again for the 15 years old, the jiu-jitsu class, right? So I got completely addicted. It starts to train like crazy, at least 2 times a day for 7 days a week.
Wow.
There was not stop, because it was in Brazil the moment of the fire of the jiu-jitsu. Like all the new generation were training jiu-jitsu like very cool, jiu-jitsu and surf together. Already an atmosphere of healthy life, healthy food, wake up early, yoga, fight, Spartan spirits, right? Samurais, and this was growing in Rio de Janeiro. So you have your friends to practice with you all the time, right? So I started to train a lot. When I was not training, I was surfing. When I was not surfing, I was playing video games. And the school became like my last plan for 1 year. For 1 year. That year, I lost that year in the school. My mom, 4 jobs to support us.
Wow. Super
different
mom.
part-time jobs, 2 governmental ones. My daddy, man, hard worker. I always see my daddy like waking up like 5:30 a.m. to put the suit at 6 a.m., stepping out of the home, having the coffee like a methodic, you know, like I remember the perfume and everything. So they really try to guide me, but if you are not in the home with the kids, it's very difficult. And I was like, as always, like very confident. I'm gonna do it my way. Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
I'll do it my way, right?
Yeah.
I did it my way. So I lost that year in the school, and then I said, man, I needed to stop one of these, or either the surf, or either the jiu-jitsu, or either the Atari, right? So I got my Atari. I remember in a box of shoes, put the Atari inside, the joysticks, make a roll with the tapes, all the games, put all the games, closed the shoes, and went to the house of one friend of mine that always come to my house to play because he don't have the Atari. And then I touched for him and say, hey, Sergio is here. Serginho. It was like the small Sergio. Like it's just a carrying way to call, Serginho.
Yeah. Okay.
Say, man, is he at home? Yes. Say, bro, I decide, I lost my ear in the school, so the things are trash at home. My dad is so angry. My mom is so angry. And I'm also so disappointed with myself now that I realized that I need to do one more time the same year. It was a waste of time. So I decided that I'm going to give this away. So I got the Atari and gave to him, and it was almost like a ritual, like a cut, like when you draw a line in the ground.
Yeah. Was that hard for you, like, to make that decision? Did you know that it was Atari that had to be the least priority?
Yeah, because for me, the body movement is something like critical. Even those I like video games, and I can play the game in my mind, but I like to move my body. Right? I always like to have the sweaty, the endorphin, and to be exhausted with a friend and improving technique, adjusting things. So I say, I will not stop the surf, which is something magical. Today, I cannot surf anymore because of my injuries, and I cannot risk to get even worse and stop to teach. But surf is an amazing sport. It has some similarities with jiu-jitsu. You were my student, you know how much I talk about surf and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I can imagine, like,
the same
balance
class
and stuff. Yeah, the balance and stuff. And I remember when you mentioned the movements, I remember our warm-up. I'll never forget the warm-up, all the animal movements, alligator, gorilla, tiger. I remember those. You were very much into the movement of the body, and then the animal styles and whatnot. Which is amazing. Your favorite, when you think about everything, like everything, not just martial arts, like comic books, video games, whatever, you think very in a philosophical way. Like, did you study that, or is that your mind frame through martial arts? How did you get so philosophy about everything?
Gilman, I always love theology. Don't misunderstood me. I'm completely illiterate in theology, but I like to understand about the religions. I like to combine science and religion. I don't think they are different. I think somehow one has to explain the other. It's natural part is universal laws, right? So I always was fascinated with that. As I told you, my grandma, my mom, very religious. In my house, they usually to go to the church every Sunday, Christian church. And then I used to go together and learning about the gospel, right? So I understand, it touched me, and it was part of me. It is part of me. I am a Christian guy. And it ignites me many questions. Because from my point of view, humble point of view, as a human being that try to find explanations for myself, right? Even that you feel satisfied with your answers, and it's good. But if I keep my answers, I will try to find a way to answer my questions, my internal questions. And one of these internal questions was, why someone really bad, really evil, can have a situation so good with material situation so good, and someone so gentle, so sweet, so good, being in a situation so bad, right? So in my mind, it was still like I cannot understand this. Only through the idea of the reincarnation, I start to create relations about how the things happen in and out. So I always try to kind of persuade that kind of answers, spiritual answers, and at the same time trying to study more about the UFO phenomenon, right? Things that for me they're all the same. You know, when you talk about theology and when you talk about UFO phenomenon and we talk about civilizations and evolution, we are talking about the same thing. And I think like pretty much for today, I have my own way to see my things, and I feel very comfortable by the way I see the things.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, you do express it with enthusiasm. Like I mentioned earlier, you know, like one of the things we all spoke about when you were teaching your class, you were very enthusiastic. You had a very philosophical mind frame on it, and in self-defense as well. Like, you know, within the martial arts, you always used to teach us self-defense in a physical perspective, but also from a mental perspective. You helped me a lot with my mental. I'll never forget this. I remember when I first started jiu-jitsu, I was like every other white belt. I go crazy and do whatever. I didn't care. I was crazy, no fear, right? And you kind of just practice crazy. But when I became a blue belt, something happened to me, and I started panicking. Right, I wasn't able to train properly because I was just panicking when I was training jiu-jitsu. And I remember speaking to you about it, and you said something that always stuck with me. You said, we as human beings, we have intelligence and we have fear. You have to allow your intelligence to control your fear. And that stuck with me a lot. And I always thought about that. And after it still took a bit of time, but after weeks and months, when I started doing jiu-jitsu again, this panicky feeling left my body. And it was I don't know where it came from. It's so weird, but that helped me so much get through. And now I rode the other day for the first time in a year and a half, because Singapore is very strict, right? Yeah. So finally with a partner, we rode, and it was amazing. My body was destroyed, so I need to build that conditioning. But the mental, I had fun. There was no panicky. There was no, oh, I can't breathe. I can't, everything was just nice. And I felt more than rolling in jiu-jitsu and getting a submission or whatever. I felt the accomplishment of that fear, that panic is gone. I felt really good about that. Cool, and that's something that you helped me with a lot. You helped a lot with the mental side of things, which it's always going to stick with me, because technique, I believe I could, loads of different teachers can teach me, but the mental things, those little things are always gonna stick with me. Like, oh yeah, Professor Kaiki taught me that from a mental perspective. But an armbar, you can teach me that. Professor D'Angelo can teach my professor, sure. But that mental thing is very specific to you. So that's going to be something that's always going to, not just in martial arts, but in life. Even when I have things that get me nervous, I'm like, all right, control that intelligence, control it. So you always came from that perspective, and I really appreciate that.
Cool. Thank you, man. Thank you so much. It's an honor to have a guy like you inside the dojo. But what I try to understand is that mindsets define everything, right? So, of course, when we study jiu-jitsu, we are thinking about the self-defense aspect. Jiu-jitsu is self-defense, a very efficient way to defend yourself against an aggressor, bigger, younger, right? But, however, when we start to practice jiu-jitsu, and it happens from my side as well, okay? It's not, I don't like so much the mentality of I am fighting against Gilman. Because jiu-jitsu is not exactly this. I am playing a game with you, a game of structure, angles, connection, disconnection, timing, precision, motor coordination, right? So that game of question and answers, who have the best vocabulary, who answers fast, the correct answer, doesn't matter if I am fighting or if I am flowing. The ability of the answer is in the transition will define, it's not my emotion that's going to define the fight. So I like to work in the students that idea. Don't think that you are fighting. Make a game. Come and play the game, because inside the dojo we almost became brothers. So there will be no punch. Nobody's gonna punch you. Nobody's gonna try to remove your eyes. It's a different situation. But we're gonna play jiu-jitsu as real as it gets, right? So I think also to teach jiu-jitsu after to use jiu-jitsu in life for all the difficult times that I had in the past in Brazil, it gave me a relation with jiu-jitsu that I want to share with the students. So look, jiu-jitsu can help you in situations that you will never imagine. Man, it's unbelievable, because everything, I believe that everything is energy and pattern, right? Frequency. If you can generate a frequency, you're gonna be in the same tune as the good things. And if the frequency is bad, it's gonna tune you with bad things, right? So sometimes we are in difficult moments in life. Let's say losing a job. Losing a job is not so difficult. It's okay. The worst moment is when you have some health issue. Let's go first for the job, because it's something that looks like not important. But if you have a family and if you have a kid that needs to go to the school and you need to pay for the kids to survive, it's gonna make you very anxious and afraid, right? So when I lose the job in Brazil, and it happened more than once, it's happened quite many times.
Okay, you were talking about the philosophy of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and you had 2 points. One was about an example of losing your job, and the other one was about
health.
Yes, and you were talking about you losing your job, and unfortunately for you, that happened a few times.
Yeah, and every time it happened, it was a very dark place, because it's a place with fear, and this fear involves not only fear for your own security, to be you safe, but the kids safe, right? The family safe. So it can really drag you down. And I believe that if you are vibrating fear, you will attract the things that are connected with the fear. Right? So I try to, of course, to do my homework, to make my curriculum and send the curriculums, make phone calls, try to understand where there is opportunity to dig a little bit, to understand what's going to be the next step on work. And at this point, I don't teach jiu-jitsu yet. And then suddenly I say, oh, you know what? Today I'm going to train jiu-jitsu. I'm going to finish jiu-jitsu. I go to the beach. I will eat acai. I will surf. I will come back to the gym. I'm going to make some techniques, jiu-jitsu, as I used to do when I was a kid, and I have no responsibilities with bills to pay. I'm going to just live in that frequency today. I will not let this take care of my life. And very curious, in the middle of the day, had a call. Many times it happened. Have a call, say, oh, can you come to, I usually to do some services for televisions in Brazil. Oh, can you come for the headquarters here? We have some opportunity here for you. We need to talk to you if you want to get it. And say, man, this is so crazy, right? Because exactly in the day that you decided to release the tension and let in the hands of the universe. what is important in jiu-jitsu is the simple prayer, right? The most simple prayer, the easiest one to learn. That is, God, give me resilience to accept what I cannot change.
Wow.
Give me the courage to change the things that I can change. And give me the wisdom to know the difference in between. Right? So I think jiu-jitsu, it's always a display of this. Things that you can change, things that you can improve, and things that you cannot improve, and then you need to accept, or the improvement is not today, will take longer in the process.
Mm-hmm.
Every time that you fail, you are closer to the victory. Right?
Amazing.
So
you put that energy out there on that day, and you got your answer basically.
It was not only one day that it happened. In Brazil, the economic situation is so up and down, especially in my moments to start to work. Was late 80s and 90s, very difficult economic moment for the country. So you lost the job all the time. So I end up finding out that if you want to work, and if you are a good worker, if you are a wrestler, the work will come.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're gonna get anything that comes for you, you're gonna make it happen. So you don't need to be so much fear. Even when I had my family and it happened in the past, and my oh my God, how it's gonna be? Calm down, calm down. It is what it is. We're gonna move forward. It's gonna be again the same situation. And I'm gonna tell you, it's not the last time that's gonna happen. It's gonna happen more times, right? The good news is in Hong Kong, we are way more stable. So we have the opportunity to work more focused on a line that you can predict a little bit the future, right? You can at least see a light in the end of the tunnel.
How did Hong Kong come into your vision? Did you ever visualize that you're going to move from Brazil across the world to Hong Kong, or where did that vision come from? And how did that come to play?
Man, what happened, Rodrigo Medeiros from San Diego, Rodrigo Medeiros Jiu-Jitsu, BJJ Revolution. He is my friend since we are back in the days in Carson Gracie. We were colorful belts, right? I was blue, he was purple. Then he was brown, I became purple. We going through that moment in the dojo, sharing the dojo with him, which was always a amazing competitor with a lot of technique, but also with a lot of strategy and athleticism in a combo. Rodrigo was in our friends. He was a step forward because he was really working on all the aspects when we were still too young to understand. He was already there. But what happened was many of us, right, the friends from that moment back in the days in Carson Gracie, we start to split around the world to teach jiu-jitsu. So California, people going to Dubai, Emirates, right, Europe, Australia, everywhere, people going to use jiu-jitsu as a way of life. Out overseas, as jiu-jitsu cannot support you. In Brazil, it's very difficult. It's a different situation, economic situation and mentality of the people. Anyway, it's more complicated in Brazil. For those who can make a good dojo in Brazil, all my respect, because it's not easy. It's very difficult. Man, he came to Hong Kong in 2012, and he opened the Epic gym, which was a super fancy gym in the center of Hong Kong. You were an Epic student, so you know how convenient, how status for martial arts. And it was a gem, right, in Hong Kong for martial arts.
Definitely.
Huge gym. So all the structure, almost like a UFC performance center.
Yeah. Was that the first MMA gym in Hong Kong? Do you know if that was the first one?
I'm not sure.
But it was the first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. If I'm correct, it was the first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school. Is that correct to me? No, it wasn't. Okay.
Was not. They had before, but almost simultaneously. It's not so much before, like 1 year before. You had people here already teaching Jiu-Jitsu. Man, and what happened? Rodrigo came in 2012, and he built that new project. And I watch in the Facebook all the things that are happening, and always talking to him, man, so unexpected. Look where you are in Hong Kong, right? In the land of the martial arts, right? Japan, Korea, Asia, right? It's the source of martial arts culture. It's very different than the football culture. They have the martial arts as the tool to build the society, and which is, for me, amazing. Be able to do amazing human beings. So I say, oh, so cool, 2012. And then the things go flowing, and sometimes you have friends that you really love, but you get more distance, right? Especially when they are living overseas. Sorry, yawning. A little bit sleepy, yeah. So when they live overseas, you don't talk, but the friendship remains, right, the same.
Yeah.
And then Rodrigo was in that battle from 2012 to 2015. He decided to come back to San Diego. And he had Professor Alberto teaching on his group of professors. And Alberto had a contract with UFC. Because of this contract, he had a fight against Mike Pyle in the UFC. So he had to do his camp at King's MMA, Master Rafael Cordeiro.
Yeah.
So he had to go to California for 2.5 months, something like that, to build his camp for the fight. And then, man, I got a phone call from Carson Gracie Jr. in Brazil, 5:55 a.m. He comes to me and say, hey, Monster, do you want to go to Hong Kong? And in my mind, I was like, oh my God, Hong Kong is interesting. In the moment that he talked about Hong Kong, very true. In my mind, I knew already that it was around Rodrigo, because there was no way to go if it was not through him, because I would never come parallel. Even if I want to come parallel, I would call Carson Gracie and talk about the situation. But anyway, it was about Rodrigo. I came to substitute Alberto while he was training to the UFC. So I stayed for 2 months in the gym, right? Amazing month. Everybody super gentle and amazing people. Always here in Hong Kong. I'm glad that I feel like the city likes me, because always feeding me with such amazing people around, that I can only understand that I am in the correct path, right? Because if the things start to go wrong and you try to do the things doesn't work, and then they say, man, maybe I should not be here.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Sometimes you can feel that.
I remember my first class with you because if you went there 2015, I moved at the end of 2014. And I remember I think I remember my first class with you. And I remember, so I love the self-defense. You know, I know there's a sport version of jiu-jitsu, but I've always got into martial arts because of self-defense. I grew up in London. I'm a small kid. You know, people push me around. It's easy.
Yeah.
So I was always focused on that. But I remember you were teaching us a technique and it was something to do with, I think it was escaping the full guard. And you said something very passionately to everyone. Respect the punch. I remember this. You like respect the punch. I know we're doing sport jiu-jitsu or whatever, but respect the punch. So know that. And from then I knew it was like, wow, this professor is really emphasizing on the self-defense. Even though we might be doing sports jiu-jitsu or whatever, he's emphasizing, make sure you know the punch is there, the elbow is there, whatever. So don't forget this. And I love that about your that how you push that on everyone, regardless if we were doing sport or not. You made sure you let them know jiu-jitsu is based on self-defense. So you got to respect the punch. That was my first interaction with you. I was like, okay, this is my professor. I love this guy.
Yeah. Thank you, man. And I think another thing that makes me really comfortable about jiu-jitsu and love jiu-jitsu even more, that I know that no matter what level you are in jiu-jitsu, you will be a student forever.
Mm.
The knowledge is so big. It's like to try to drink an ocean with a straw. You know, so you in jiu-jitsu you see not uncommon to see world champions. They say, I don't know. I need to improve this because this is an area that I really have a gap, technical gap. Who can achieve any point of the evolution in the sport without gaps? Many few people, right? Because usually we have always where to improve, right? And if you don't find where to improve, maybe you are in a mental trap that you create for yourself.
Yes, interesting. I really respect that. Yeah, I hear that a lot, and especially one of them is in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, where people always say, "Look, I might be a black belt, but I always step on the mat as a white belt because I want to make sure I can learn from anyone and everything. And even if a white belt teaches me something, I want to learn. And I really,
for sure,
I take that in life as well, even with work. You know, in work they like to throw the work I do. They like to throw this word expert around. I'm like, don't call me an expert. I don't like this. Like, just call me a beginner that knows a lot. But I'm always a beginner because anyone can teach me. And I learned that from jiu-jitsu and martial arts. Just always approach everything as a beginner.
Exactly. If you can keep the beginner eyes, then you can progress always. Right? Because the beginner, he has hungry for knowledge. And the knowledge, if jiu-jitsu is not a closed book that you say, oh, all the positions of jiu-jitsu are in this book here. You don't have it. It's impossible to do something like that for jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is, you understand the principles, you understand the foundation, you learn some positions that are there more to illustrate and make you have a connection with the principles, principle of the triangle, principles of the base, principles of the tripod, principles of weight distribution, principles about connection and disconnection. Once you start to deal with the principles, then you play jiu-jitsu and enjoying a lot. And you cannot put this in a book because it's a flow. So, but how you do this? Then you connect this with this, if this, if this. If you do this, I do that. If you do that, I do this. Cognitively, it's one of the best exercises that we can find in the planet. I consider 3 things really strong for the brain: reading, literature, right? Math, and chess.
Nice.
right?
I just got into chess. I'm happy you said that because I just got into that.
Oh,
Nice. Okay, awesome. Awesome. I literally just bought a board last week and started playing it because I find it very interesting and it's very strategic. It's very strategic, right? You've got to be
yeah,
strategic for the brain. So I bought
yeah,
one. I told
yeah,
my girlfriend like every week we have to play. We have to learn this and play
yeah,
and play. That's amazing.
yes.
I'm happy you
It,
said that.
yeah, jiu-jitsu in Brazil, we call the body chess,
Yeah.
right? Because then you find the checkmate, right? The So these three exercises for me, they are very strongly for the brain, for the cognitivity. But all of them, they happen inside your head. And the stimulus, what you created inside your head, is still there inside your head. Jiu-Jitsu has elements that make all of this exercise strategy, balance, anticipation, reading, motor coordination, everything that you think you need to translate in movement. And this is a neural storm for the whole system that it's just like, I firmly believe that it's just like when you pump iron and make more muscles. When you play jiu-jitsu, you make more neuron connections. Your body starts to amplify the neural connections through jiu-jitsu. And it in itself helps a lot in many aspects of life. Because it starts to be more strategic, starts to be more energy management. You start to become translating the things that you do in the mat to outside the mat, timing for the things, even when you have a situation that you need to talk to someone and in your work, let's say, and you need to say that this person made something wrong, right? So what's the perfect timing? Because even in a situation as a job, if you miss the timing, you can have a result different than that you want. In depending on the circumstance, you can have the result completely opposite of what you need and what you want from that person. So that how we can translate jiu-jitsu for life, right? This is, I think, is the main goal of the jiu-jitsu practitioner.
Yeah, I remember
to understand how to do that.
I remember when it was the last promotion gathering that we had, and someone, I can't remember the name, I'm sorry, but someone got their black belt, and you mentioned to them that this is your start of your jiu-jitsu journey, and two, this black belt is also going to help you and should help you be a better human being, not just in the gym but outside the gym. So everything you're learning here up to this journey and journey beyond should help you outside the gym. So it just relates to what you're saying now about it relating outside of jiu-jitsu, helping you outside of the work, outside of the mats.
Yeah, this is, I really, when I have a student inside the dojo, of course I want him to play a good jiu-jitsu, that he has a good flow, and it's gonna happen naturally because it happens for everybody. You are training, you are moving, but not everybody able to use the principles that they are training there every day in life. And this is something that if it happens, I feel like fail as a professor. Let's say any situation that involve loyalty or things that the guy is a super good fighter, but he has no honor. So I don't care if you know how to do a good armbar. So your armbar has fails. I know you are working on improve your armbar, and eventually it's going to get better than it was before. But the elements that you've been working to achieve an armbar can you transfer this for your regular life? Can you get benefits from that in your social skills? Then if the answer is yes, then okay, then I made my job as a professor and could make you see through jiu-jitsu. But if the answer is no, I can do a very good armbar, but outside I am a disaster. Then it's a fail. Then it's a fail as a professor. I need to try to keep the students very aware about that priority of things. If you nothing wrong about to be the best in the mat, to be good in jiu-jitsu, and to be able to defeat everybody in the mat. It's cool, but without love, it's nothing.
Wow, interesting. So when we what do you think of now? You know, the UFC and all that stuff. Obviously, jiu-jitsu was a big part of it, and martial arts is a big part of it. But one thing that the MMA might get criticized on is the traditional martial arts discipline, right? So obviously MMA was about getting away from the tradition and training all mixed martial arts, but the discipline of martial arts, what you're talking about, the respect values and whatnot, that's not really displayed as much. I mean, yes, it is in some people like George St. Pierre, Anderson Silva, Khabib, but then you got the big superstars who, like, you know, Conor McGregor's and whatnot, Colby Covington, they use trash talk and whatnot to promote fight and business and stuff. Obviously, they are martial artists as well, and then amazing fighters. But what's your thoughts on that? Do you think that's a disrespect to martial arts, or do you think it's a different element of it?
Yes, I have an opinion about this. Always thinking about this is when you bring the Confucius philosophy to learn how to fight, to don't fight.
Nice. I remember Bruce Lee using that in one of his movies, The Art of Fighting Without Fighting. Was it Enter the Dragon? I think it was.
Yeah, it's Confucius usually to say, and it's incredible because as people in the school knows that I am a jiu-jitsu fighter, I had no fights anymore. Nobody wants to fight the jiu-jitsu fighter. So learn how to fight, so don't fight, so you can promote the peace. You can try to promote more peace, right? And then when you decide to go into a mixed martial art, you are already corrupting the foundation of the learning process. That is to learn to fight, to don't fight, right? So it should be something like that. Oh, but to compete, but no, you are fighting. In an MMA, it's a fight. It's not a game. It's not a competition like a judo. Even though judo is very rough and wrestling very rough, MMA is different. MMA is a fight. It's a situation that emulates life and death. So when you go into that in that sense now, I already broke when I signed for money. I broke my relation with this. This is I can choose to keep the behavior of the samurai, like Lyoto Machida, like amazing fighters. And personally, I prefer because they expose the martial art community for so many people, so many families. So if they keep it with them, they are doing a good job for martial arts in the world. But if they don't keep, like Conor McGregor, and they do this to make more money, to make more business, I also don't criticize, because he's doing something that it's pushing the business forward. He's bringing new numbers. He's exposing the sport for more people. And in a final picture, people will get the average. And if the average is respectful, the audience will absorb as a respectful martial arts that has one or two guys that are bad guys, let's say. And then, but if everybody starts to become like trash talker, and then I see a problem, because it's going to be exposing the sport for so many families, and will bring that idea that martial arts leads into a mentality like that, which is very poor and very unfair for all martial arts: karate, Muay Thai, jiu-jitsu, judo, wrestling. We pray on over a different book. It's a book of respect. It's a book of loyalty, courage, honor. Right. So that's how I see. They can do they can promote the trash talk. It's legit. It's a choice.
Well, it's an interesting perspective. It's an interesting perspective because I get it. So as long as there's going to be the humble guys, the Machidas, the Anderson Silvers and whatnot, the audience that the trash talkers might bring in will get almost converted with them guys. So it's important to make sure there is a balance of that, which is what I love. I mean, of course, I love the trash talking and all that stuff. Makes it fun. Of course, it builds up the fight. But I've always been attracted to the humble martial artists, like, you know, the ones that go in that bow and you know, just show respect and what. That's what I've always loved. But you gotta love the other stuff too.
Of course, then become entertainment.
Yes,
then it's entertainment, and everything goes there. And I don't blame. I feel a little bit sad when the respectful practitioner, fighter, is being attacked by the trash talker, and the professional, the samurai, become like let's say, touched by the trash talk. When he feels offended by the trash talk, then I think it's not fair. You cannot feel offended once you are inside that situation. You need to understand that it's part of the game. He does his play. He plays his role. I will play mine. In the day of the fight, it's going to be just me and him, and then let's understand who's going to be the best in that day.
Interesting. So do you think that's like, it's a part of martial arts in regards to like a mental warfare? Like they're doing the trash talk to get in your head. So this is an element of martial arts.
Sun Tzu, Art of War. The fireworks, they can create a lot of confusion in the enemy camp. Understand? The fireworks, they explode, they make noise, they shine, they do a lot of things, but they don't create damage. But if you create enough confusion, you can create a window to attack and then create the damage. Right?
Got it. So the fireworks is the trash talk that goes off in your head. It's not creating damage, but it's distracting you in your head.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. So I really believe that is legit part of the game, especially in that situation. They sign for money. Let's go, bro.
Interesting. Amazing. Well, Professor, I've been holding you up for about 2 hours. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I want to do it again, man. Let's I don't want to hold you up too much, but I do want to do this again. Your philosophies, your like I say, your passion about martial arts and relating it to your life and everything is so interesting. And I want to let's do this again. We gotta get you on the podcast more. Especially when new geeky stuff comes, like about the comic book stuff. I have to ask you, since we do the podcast is about geeky
we don't
stuff.
don't even go inside, man.
We haven't even touched that yet. But
let's do again.
Yeah, definitely. Let's do that. I definitely want to speak to you more. And this has been great. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy man, so I really appreciate the time.
I'm off today. Thanks, Lord.